Militant group Hezbollah has vowed to retaliate against Israel, accusing it of detonating pagers across Lebanon that killed at least 10 people and wounded around 3,000 others, including Iran's envoy to Beirut. Lebanese information minister has called it an Israeli aggression, and Hezbollah said that Israel will receive its fair punishment for the blasts. My name is and to discuss this further, we are now being joined by Chirs Doyle, Director of Council for Arab-British Understanding. Thank you so much for joining us on WION.
Pleasure.
Now, sir, to begin with, how do you assess an attack of this nature that was carried out, from intercepting the shipments of pagers, perhaps, to planting explosives and simultaneous detonations? Do you think that's what happened?
This appears to be what's happened. Obviously, there's a lot we do not know. Everyone assumes that it is Israel that carried out this attack, largely because no other party in the region could have really mounted that sort of level of technical expertise. And it obviously has the means and motivation, given that there has been a confrontation between Israel and Hezbollah pretty much consistently for the last year. And Israel has made very clear that it does hold Hezbollah responsible. Now, to actually go after so many pagers, causing explosions going off all across Lebanon, supermarkets, homes and elsewhere, is quite extraordinary. It brings a level of fear, of terror to Lebanese, not just Hezbollah, to civilians as well, that is really unprecedented in history, really. This is effectively an armed cyber attack, and that ability to get into Hezbollah's supply chains will, of course, create great worries for Hezbollah. In what ways that it's been compromised, how will it communicate in future with its supporters, its armed fighters, its leadership. All of this has been compromised. So it will be, well, worrying as to what happens next. One assumes that Hezbollah will try to respond, but any escalation risks sending the Middle East into yet another broader, very dangerous conflict.
All right, so just on something that you said, I wanted a better understanding on this. Does this fall into a category of a cyber attack, or do you think these pages were hacked in a certain way, or were these planted with small amounts of explosives?
I think it might be a combination of both. Obviously, I'm not an expert on munitions, but it seems that all the experts are saying that this is not batteries overheating, that it would be explosives put in, but it also, in order to do that, you would also have to be able to trigger, those explosives all at the same time. It seemed that there was a couple of beeps going off on the pages beforehand. I think this pretty much indicates that it's not just putting explosives in the back of these devices. It is actually being able to locate and track them, and to be able to detonate a charge remotely. So this degree of sophistication is obviously very daunting, but it also, at a broader level, what does this mean about modern warfare? If you can attack supply chains like this, okay, this is high-tech end, but what if it's drugs, medicines, other commodities, food chains in the future, where one belligerent party takes it out on an enemy, and the harm that could be done to civilians? So I think this is actually bringing us closer to far more terrible type attacks in the future. And that's why I think we need to get the law absolutely clear on this, because I think a lot of people are saying this is illegal because civilians get caught up in this. It's not targeted enough, and it actually holds worrying precedents, as I said, for the future.
Absolutely, you raise a very pertinent issue there, sir. That being said, this attack mainly happened in Hezbollah strongholds. They are using a technology which hasn't been used perhaps in the last 2 decades. Pagers were popular back in the 1990s. What do you have to say about that?
Well, this is Hezbollah deciding that their mobile phone networks were compromised, that Israel could track them, and that therefore could locate their fighters and take them out. They believed clearly that by using 1980s technologies like pagers, that they would be able to prevent Israel from doing this. Well, Israel has demonstrated that that won't always be the case. Now, it's somewhat easier, I suspect, to defend supply chain networks. You can obviously check them and verify them perhaps a little bit more carefully next time. But certainly communications for Hezbollah will be very challenging going forward, and that's going to compromise their ability to carry out any forms of attacks.
Right, and Hezbollah claims that this was an Israeli breach. Israel has not commented. Taiwanese company said it had no role in this. The United States too has said that it had no prior knowledge of such an attack. That being said, Hezbollah has vowed punishment for Israel. How do you see this impacting the already tense situation in West Asia?
Well, I think that, you can only see things getting worse. I don't think Hezbollah is going to go and allow this to be unanswered. We're already seeing a medium-scale conflict going on here. I mean, every single day between Hezbollah and Israel, there are attacks, rocket fires, drone attacks, people are killed. Senior commander of Hezbollah was killed only just recently. And it obviously escalates matters. Hezbollah will no doubt rely on Iran also to assist it in trying to find ways to adapt its communications infrastructure to make sure that it can't be hacked, can't be traced. But, they have capabilities to send rockets deep into Israel. And anything that risks a full-scale war, I mean, that war will be so much worse than what we see already in Gaza, and that is obviously horrific, because Hezbollah will have an ability to hit Israel very hard. Obviously, Israel can hit Hezbollah and indeed Lebanon much, much harder, but it's going to be degrees of losing, and a lot of civilians are going to lose their lives if we do not get to de-escalation. So the international community, the leading actors, particularly the United States, have got to work far harder and be far more courageous in the way they go about actually trying to bring this all to an end. They've got to use their leverage right now to bring a halt to this. And the United States has leverage. It can stop that weapons supply to Israel today if it so wanted. And that would certainly give Israeli leaders pause for thought about whether they continue to prosecute conflicts in Gaza, in the West Bank and with Lebanon. Obviously, pressure has to be brought to Hezbollah to make sure that they would agree to any ceasefire, any cessation of hostilities as well.
All right. Well, Mr. Doyle, thank you so much for joining us on WION World as One with your insights on this.
Thank you.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.